I pre-staged it ahead of time so people see it. All right, we are live, brother. You should be on. So we don't have anybody in live, at least commenting yet that I can see. But I am with Dan Pancaldi, who's gotten rather famous lately in multiple arenas. Multiple. So first, we're going to talk about the board game stuff, what you're doing with the Dice Tower, what you're doing with your show, your lovely interludes. Hello. And when we hit the interludes, then I want to move over and have you talk a little bit about the music side of what you do, because I find that extremely interesting as well. Real quick, for those that haven't been here before, because this will be recorded and stay on the channel, I'm Bart, also known as the Chief, bonding with board games. And the reason it's got that long name is because I actually believe that the analog games or board games are so great to facilitate that bonding nature, and that's why it's in the title. So hello, sir, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Bart. Thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me. What do you have in there? I see some funny yellow golden liquid.
Yes, that is not tea. That is... I have a little bit of Jameson's Caskmates right down here, which is it's a Jameson Irish whiskey triple distilled, but then finished in a beer cask. It had some beer in it. Okay,
Jameson is always triple distilled, so it's really smooth.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? Since you're having a Scotch, I mean, I don't personally have Scotch of my own, but my girlfriend has a Scotch, so I'm gonna holler. Okay.
Oh, holler, baby.
Chantal, can you get me a Scotch? Because Bart's having a Scotch and I don't have any Scotch.
Now, technically, I'm having an Irish whiskey. Some Scotch people get mad if you say Jameson is Scotch.
Sorry. Yeah, whiskey.
That's right. I'm just throwing that out there because someone right there was like, Jameson, it's Irish.
Yeah, I'm going to be having a Glenfiddich 18 that we picked up on duty free.
Very nice.
Yes, very nice.
That is good. I've got a few actually down here. I've got a little, I haven't reviewed this yet, but a Tom & Tool.
Never heard of it.
Yep, I hadn't either. And I picked it up, I think, when we were on travels. I need to get it reviewed because it's starting. And I'll be like, well, let me try that. And then usually I only have stuff we reviewed. I've got a little bourbon here, this Blade and Bow.
Oh, never. No, we don't get that bourbon here.
And their little hook is they have all these different keys that they hang off that actually kind of get in the way, but it jingle jangles and makes noise. Real quick, how's my audio? I usually have a better mic, but I had forgotten it over at my Scotch co-host house, and so I'm just using the built-in mic for the Mac.
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Good. Okay, it may not be up to normal standards, but it should be pretty good. So real quick, let's get to you and No Enemies Here. I should have said that in the open. No Enemies Here is Dan's channel, and it's a very unique channel. It's really coalesced all of these war game and game reviewers and highlights each of them, which is a lot of work, first of all. Lots of work. And he then features what they're currently releasing, what's going on. Oh, here comes that Glenfiddich. Hello.
Hi. Cheers.
Nice. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Very Cheers. Nice. Cheers. So talk about No Enemies Here and how and why you started it, and I'll ask questions from there.
I'm partners with Snuka Joe. I do Snuka Joe's music for his videos, and I don't know. I actually forgot. We must have been talking about something like, "Hey Joe, I'd like to start a YouTube channel," and he was mentioning, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to mess up his name, Bruce Garrick, Space Rumsfeld.
Okay.
He's got a podcast, and Joe said it's fine. The podcast is great. The guy's great. But people want to see visuals. So I think that's the way it happened.
Gotcha. Now, Snuka Joe, phenomenal. Gentleman lives in Puerto Rico. Love his videos. He spends a lot of time really doing a real polished playthrough. And not only could you learn how to play the game from the playthrough? But it's almost, he likes to review games where stories are told and emphasized. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and first of all, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm in love with his voice. His voice kind of, you know, is very smooth. And I watch his 1 hour, 2 hour videos. Actually, the video, the B-17 video, which you were in when he killed you off there.
Yes. Really.
And I've actually watched that a few times. It's like replay TV type thing.
Exactly. No, that was a fun one. He contacted me a few years ago now and said, hey, can I get your permission to use your name in the game along with Judd and Gregg, your ham tag co-hosts? And I said, let me ask him. And it was funny because that's not Greg Schmidtken's kind of style of game in general. Not that he doesn't like it. It's just not, it's more of a story chart reading than a full court game. And he was like, sure. And yeah, right off, I think I was like the port waist gunner, and I had to bail out, and I landed in the channel and dead.
Yeah. I tried to revive you, but Joe didn't have it.
Come on, man. There was a coastal rescue ship.
I know. I told him there was he's probably at a bar someplace. He swam to coast, and Joe was like, "Sorry, man, the dice. Sorry."
Yeah, I know. Well, as soon as it was a channel jump, I thought, I'm in huge trouble here.
Yep.
I needed to roll a 6, I think, upon landing, and that did not happen, not even close. I think Red blasted the longest. And then the whole plane went down, didn't it?
Yeah. He actually had 2 planes. He asked the subscribers to name another plane, and anyways, it didn't happen. 25 missions, no way.
No, the game's brutal, but that we'll segue real quick because that's some of the beauty of B-17 Queen of the Skies, my very first board game, serious hobby board game I ever purchased, in that it tells a story and it's way more, it's game, not simulation.
Yeah.
And I know that was some of the detractors of the game said, hey, this would never happen to a single bomber. Sure, yeah, it's more of a culmination of everything that could have happened.
Yeah, it's a game. It tells a great narrative. I mean, it was one of my first games too. I think I bought it. I was 15 years old or something like that. I don't remember.
Yep, I think it came out in 1983, and I bought it when in that first year, and I was 13.
Wait, how old are you now?
I am 48.
You're 48.
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 54, man.
Wow, you must have bought it when you were much older.
So I was older. Okay, it's a bit blurry. You know what I mean?
Crashed yet? You were not 15. I can guarantee that.
No, I wasn't 15.
All right, so back to No Enemies Here. So you're working with Joe. By the way, thank you. You also volunteered and did a lot of music, not only for Bonding with Board Games, but for Scotch Test Dummies. And now, Bo Fox 7. My son saw me doing videos and was like, I want to do my own videos, but on video games. And you popped in and talked to him and said, hey, if you don't like some of the music I did for you, tell me, we'll do something different. And he was like, Dad, this is really cool. I go,
yeah, it's practice for me as a composer. I mean, I'm not going to get my orchestral pieces played anytime soon.
Yeah, maybe.
But I mean, so, an opportunity like yours, Board Game Breakfast, and your son, Bo Fox 17, and Joe especially, before Joe got really busy with his work, and a hell of a year he had.
Yes, he did.
I was cranking them out one a week, man.
Wow.
And so I actually learned quite a bit, and I appreciate it very much. It's you guys I got to thank, man.
No. It's because music really, and then you do these cool little things. I guess we've segued into the music, so we're going to roll with it. You'll do these cool things like, hey, what I call, my last name is Brunsheen, and it's tagged Brunsheen's theme. You're like, I just had some inspiration.
Yeah.
Music feels like you, and here it is. And then I listened to it, and I was like, well, this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The inspiration comes at any time, anybody. I mean, right now having a scotch, man, I feel like writing a serenade. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful. Now let's talk about your music career and how you started music. What, right out of college? You majored? I mean, what's your story from the music?
Yeah, I majored in music.
You might have a little one coming in here.
Is that Bo?
Come here, Seth.
Is that Bo?
Nope, this is Seth. This is my young.
Hey, Seth, how are you, man?
Well, hi to Dan.
Okay.
All right. Minions. Yeah.
Minute.
Seth is 9. So he has Down syndrome. So his speech is a little bit delayed, but you are having a good morning, aren't you?
Yep.
All right. All right. Can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? Oh, you want to tell a knock knock? We're going to do one knock knock, and then I'm going to have you go back upstairs. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So who's there?
Boo.
Boo hoo.
No, cry, boo.
Don't cry, baby. I'm not a baby. That's his favorite. All right, do me a favor. I'm live on the show. Can you run back upstairs and shut the door?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. See you, buddy.
See you, man.
There you go. No. Shut the door. We'll see how much compliance we get. No, close the door. No Star Wars right now. See, I'm also in what's called the game room. So sometimes the game room ends up taking over. Go on, buddy. Go on. All right. So your music career.
Yeah. I mean, music, it's my opinion. It's you got it or you don't type thing. A lot of people are going to scream. Let them scream. I can't hear them. And the thing is, you can learn the skill of music, right? You can learn how to play guitar, but you can't learn music. So I just was musical all my life. And being a young teenager, I didn't know what to do. So someone said, well, what you got to do is right under your nose what you like. I said, I like music. So that was that. As simple as that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you go into college, majored in?
Yeah, I majored in percussion.
Okay.
And I got my master's in keyboard percussion, marimba, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and that was that for that. And I'm actually, I had my 15 minutes of fame. I was actually the first post-grad to graduate in that field in North America.
Really?
Yeah.
You're the first post-grad to graduate in that field in all of North America.
To have a degree.
Well, I love it because we didn't mention, but you live in Canada.
Yeah, I live in Canada.
What part of Canada are you in?
Quebec, Montreal.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of French in your language ability as well.
Oui.
All right, so you're the first to get the degree.
Yeah, that I know of. I mean, I have, like I said, my 15 minutes of fame. I was on TV and all that, and that was that.
Okay, and then where do you go from there? So professionally, what happens?
What do I go from there? I get a job as a cook. That's what you go from there. What are you gonna do with a marimba degree, for God's sakes? No, I was a semi-pro for about 30 years.
Oh, now,
yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm still trying to get the door.
I see. Yeah.
Oh my! Hold on.
That's cool. It's cool.
I'm asking the wife for help. Oh, he's great. He just wants to play Star Wars. So
yeah, it is the gaming room after all, Bart.
It is the digital gaming room. Hold on, my son Bo will pop in.
Okay.
Hold on. We're gonna fix this. Although you may get upset. It is football. We're gonna watch football later. All right. Woo! Now, very recently,
yeah,
you traveled because in the States, your music was being featured and played live, or was it recorded? I'm trying to remember exactly.
Both, actually. It was played live. It was recorded live. I have a buddy in the States who was retiring, and he's quite famous in the marimba world. And man, I was blown away when he asked to have my music played at his retirement. And the thing is that my piece of music was 25 minutes long.
Beautiful.
And it was the longest piece of music. So I guess you really did like it, because 25 minutes, it's a hell of a suffering, man.
No. It's all good. I know you did it was it was interesting. I wanted something like heartfelt, soulfelt, and I think you called it Lafroig's
Last Stand.
Yes, Lafroig's Last Stand.
I don't even remember what it sounds like, but I remember the title.
I love it, but it's like soulful. And when I played it for my host, he goes, "Well, that's beautiful, but we're like this goofy Scotch review show, and you're wearing crazy hats all the time, and then this is like
funeral music."
Yeah, like you look the hill, and you
yeah.
And I love it.
It's Lafroig's Last Stand, man. I mean,
I love it. So I've worked it in. Like we did one where I played it a little more quietly, as I did what I call an apology video, where I had the family do I mispronounce names, Gaelic names all the time. Yeah.
I saw that.
In the slight background of my reading a pre-prepared statement with my family, looking like I'm making an admittal and an apology.
I remember that now. That was cool. Yeah.
Now, funny side note on that, my mom sees it on Facebook and literally thinks that I've destroyed somehow my whiskey career and that this is legit. She calls to say, "Oh my goodness, have you recovered? Is your show dead? Your wife looked really mad at you." I'm like, "Mom, that was a joke." Then I got in trouble because I tricked Mom. Yeah, tricking Mom was not good. She was like, "Well, that's a terrible joke to play on your father." I'm like, "Mom, everybody else knew that was a joke from the get-go."
And your wife was in on the video, wasn't she? She was correcting you or something, or giving you the look.
She looked, I told her, she goes, "Well, how am I supposed to stand here?" I said, "You know how you hate those politicians that cheat on their wife and then go on camera with their wife and say how they made a mistake and the wife's standing there?" She goes, "I hate those." I go, "Stand up there, not that I've cheated, but just have that same angry look." And I've had people comment like, "Your wife looks pissed. I would not make your wife mad."
That's cool.
And then she ends with, "I am Puerto Rican," because I used to always joke around. I'd say my wife's Puerto Rican, and then my co-host had said, "You always work that in. Do you think that makes you more worldly or something?" And so that became a running gag. So when I told her, "You're going to have one line and it's going to be, 'I am Puerto Rican,' and then the show will be over." So I played that Lafroig's Last Stand.
Yeah.
Throughout that section. And so thank you again.
Oh, thank you, man.
Because it's just, as you know, the music literally, I mean, I can go buy and get a little thing and I can buy this canned music, but it's not. What you impart literally is like the knowledge and the soul of what's going on, which really makes it unique and special. So thank you.
All I can say is thank you, Bart.
All right, so there's people watching, and they're like, so what? Let's talk about No Enemies Here, and then I want to segue into what you're doing on the Dice Tower.
Well, first of all, the Dice Tower gig, I have to say again, and this is going to be redundant. Thank you very much, Bart, for giving me the contact of Tom. And I don't know. I don't know. Was it? It was serendipitous that maybe Tom was looking for a spot, because the first time I emailed him, he emails me back and he says, "Well, maybe, I'll give it a shot." And I thought, wow.
Yeah.
And it was that simple. You gave me the contact. I contacted Tom. He gets back to me and he says, "You got 2 minutes. Go ahead."
Well, there's Tom, first of all. So a real cool thing with Tom is I like how he freeforms and thinks of ideas. So he'd had the idea of Board Game Breakfast, and he wanted to just take all submissions, piece them in. He'll be the first to tell you he's never sure what works, what doesn't. I think he's well beyond now. He kind of knows what works and what doesn't. But I can tell you, I used to be his war game reviewer. He's not as much into war games.
No.
And so I knew he would probably really like the idea of what you were coming in, because here you are with that knowledge base of all these different reviewers, what you're doing with No Enemies Here, and then you're going to get a 2-minute section on Board Game Breakfast that splices in. And as you found out, the hard thing is how you do that in 2 minutes.
It still scares me every single week that get the information, well, to get as much information in without sounding too technical, because I'm going to lose those guys at, I just lost you, Bart. Oh, there you are. I'm going to lose those guys because they're more Euro gamers, right?
A little bit, yeah. I'd say he's kind of everywhere now, but definitely it's thematic Ameritrash Euro gamers,
right?
Less war game guys.
So, I mean, if I start talking technically, you know, zone of control, this and that, I'm gonna lose them. So I take an emotional aspect, how the game makes you feel, and a few pictures, maybe one technicality, and 2 minutes finished.
Beautiful. Now I'm going to say I hadn't been looking when my son came in. We got Snuka Joe is in the chats, and he says, "Long live Maestro Pancaldi and the Chief." So thank you, sir. I'm sorry I didn't recognize earlier. I got all distracted when my son rolled in. So long live the Maestro and the Chief. We've got John Kranz is in. Good seeing both of you. I'll try to watch for a bit. Thank you. You can always come back and watch the or the post recording. John, I'm going to mess up your last name. Sorry, John. Torak. Sorry, that's terrible. Great to see Dan on your show, Chief. Funniest guy in Wargaming 2018. That is you, sir. You are great. Pancaldi is awesome.
I think John is one of my. He comments quite a bit. If I'm not mistaken, John is the guy who voted Herman Luckman for Grognard of the Year, I think.
Okay, and he says, John comes in and then just says, Schnitzel, and then he's got a little smiley face.
I can't comment on that right now. It's I can't do anything.
Got it. And then Snuka Joe comes in with an indeed. He's come in with an indeed. And then, so we've got some folks in here, and if you want to ask a question, I may not get to it right away, but we'll peel back out just like I did there, and we'll answer some stuff here or there. So you come on the Dice Tower, and are you doing, or on Board Game Breakfast, is that, I'm trying to remember, that's a weekly every Monday? Is that when that comes out?
Yeah, it's every Monday.
That's right. And so you come in, you get 2 minutes, and I've seen some of yours, but I haven't been watching as much Board Game Breakfast lately. You come in and feature one game and just try to break it down?
Yeah, I was trying to do 2 games. But 1 minute per game. I mean, I don't do anything. So I figured, let me get one game, read the rules, check out some playthroughs on the tube, and get a good feel for the game, and that's it. But 2 minutes. And the thing is that before I started this YouTube channel, you guys, you with the Chief, I mean, Bonding with Board Games, and Marco Arnaldo, Snuka Joe, all those guys, Nate, I would watch, and it never occurred to me how much work, how much dedication it takes. You actually have to stop, film, edit, and all of a sudden 3 hours have gone by in a day.
Yes.
So a guy like Tom Vassell,
yeah, that's
unbelievable.
It is. Yeah, and Tom, I'll give you a couple tips that Tom gave me. So, and then I'll talk to you about how he does it. He's got
okay.
So the first thing he said, even as because I'd met him at Origins, and I had just done a couple audio things with Dexter, who was a kid I was mentoring, a high school kid.
Okay.
And he'd heard about it, or I'd commented, and he said, "Hey, do a little recording for me, and I'll put it on the podcast." So I meet him at Origins, and he says, "Hey, I'm wanting to add some people. Would you be interested? I see you do some war games. Would you want to do some war game videos?" And I said, "You bet." And he said, "Here's the deal. Stop at any time. And if you don't enjoy every piece of the process, you need to seriously think about what you're doing and probably stop." And he goes, including editing. He goes, if there's something you don't like, stop, because it could ruin the hobby for you a little bit.
I see.
And he was right. I would say, because he said, "Hey, I'm telling war game companies, don't send me the games because I'm probably not going to review them." He's like, "I'm going to direct them your way." His first rule was, I tell everybody and you tell everybody, they're not guaranteed a review just by sending you a game. Try, be fair. He said, you know, if you know it's going to be a game that you know, whatever, it's what did he have? Oh, here, I got one. This wasn't sent to me, but I won it at BGG. It was the Barbarossa with the real sexualized cartoon Japanese stuff.
Okay.
So just now, I won this at BGG in a big drawing or whatever. But that, for instance, I'll be honest with you, he didn't want that on his channel.
Right, I understand.
Right, and he didn't, and I was like, got it. So he always tells them up front, you know, I won't review that. These are just my reasons why. So he said, if you ever have a feeling like that, let them know. He also told me, be honest with your review. That was beautiful. So he gave me complete editorial control. He said, don't curse. That was one thing. Can't curse on the Dice Star. I said, I don't like cursing on the open channels anyway. But he said, you've got full editorial control. If you don't like it, call it out. Be fair, be honest, and let it be what it is. And he said they may get mad, but even sometimes just the only thing he did tell me that was great was it's not, I don't trash a game because it's not to my style. That, I believe, is the key of a reviewer. It would be more like this thing doesn't work, or I will even tell you there was one that was so heavy simulation, the rules were so hard that I couldn't game it. I couldn't play it. So it didn't get a review at all because I couldn't process it. And I fully believe that could be me. I mean, someone else might get it and be like,
yeah,
that was easy. But I'm like, you know what? And I'll tell the publisher or whoever, I'm not going to review it because I'm dumb or your rules are bad, but I'm not
or
saying
you just didn't understand the game. That's all.
Yeah. And if I can't play it, I can't review it. So that's, and it's not on the game. It could be a knock on me. So
but you see, Bart, you as a reviewer, Tom as a reviewer, and basically everybody else, I don't review games. So I'm in a good spot where I'll just showcase a game, showcase its components, talk a little bit about it, and that's it. So I'm kind of like, I feel good about that. I don't have to trash any game, and I don't want to trash any game because to make a game, man, it takes 2-3 years, minimum 2-3 years to make a game. So I'm not going to trash 2-3 years of work.
Well, and that's a good point. I generally, if I don't really trash any games, like I've told you, I've got some games that I couldn't grok or I couldn't figure out. They just won't get reviewed.
Right.
But I usually recognize, and it's not much different from whiskey, is that the game comes in this format. I play that format, and it may not strike, let's just use a whiskey term, my palate a certain way. Meaning, I may never play this game again after I've played it a few times in order to review it. But my palate is not the dictation for the whole world. So I don't go into it thinking this is good or bad. What I try to say is the solitaire here, you know, it really worked to a style I like, and it was engaging. The turns were quick. I was in and out of my turns. And then if somebody goes, ooh, I hate those style of solitaire games, I want a long, crunchy game. Well, now they know that that may not be a game for their palate.
Right.
And so I almost, you know, I may throw in like right here, Inferno, Stalingrad Inferno.
Yeah.
Otto didn't like it. That's fine. He cannot like it. I really enjoyed it. There were two knocks right off the bat, one of which I thought could be easily fixed, is a little helper card that I had to print off from BGG. And it would have been a player aid that would have broke all those games, you know, the little things down. And that's something I'll definitely comment on, because I found myself as I was learning and playing, flipping from page to page and to this, and a helper aid would have been great. And then the other thing I commented on, which I liked, is the variability of this game comes from the deck of cards, which are the timer. And so if you watch for me, that was fine. I liked it, but it could get a little samey. But now you know that it's the deck of cards and what you pick to do. But, you know, I mean, so if you know the cards are what give it the replayability, now you've got an idea, and it's really, again, more about palette. Now I got to ask you, when you play a game, this one, I love the Battle of Stalingrad, or the history of it, but I immediately wanted, Paul Combin had a bunch of notes and historical and a manual and stuff, but I had to get even more. So all of a sudden I'm reading this as well. So
yeah.
Anthony Beaver's Stalingrad. Do you get into, sometimes do you dive so deep that you're even reading things on a game or on an area?
I mean, I'm ADD. So reading for me is a real chore, okay? Because I'm hyperactive, so my eyeballs will jump from word to word and this page, go to the next page. So reading for me is a real chore. If I read, I got to read in the morning when I wake up, because as soon as I've got my day in my body, forget it. It's not happening. And that's why, thank God for people who do playthroughs on games that I have to showcase, because because I gotta, you know, after a day's work. I mean, I work in mental health. So after 8 hours of catering to 30, 35 people and their needs, when I come home, I'm burnt out. And the last thing I could do is read. Forget it. I can't see anything.
See, police work, sometimes I'll be burnt out too. And sometimes sitting down and just relaxing, I'll be honest with you, I'll pour a little of this and I'll break out a rule book and I'll just sit and read. Or better yet, and Stalingrad was perfect for this because it was solitaire. Although I do a lot of games that are even multiple player, I'll play solitaire just so I can get all the feel for them.
Right.
But that one was great because it was solitaire only, or you can do multiple and you can do co-op. I only played it solitaire. But I love the solitaire games because I'll do the same thing. I'll sit down and I'll play and I'll just sip. And for me, it's almost meditative.
Yeah, same thing for me. And there's no pressure to have to make a move for the other guy to, you know, like, come on, get on with it. I mean, I play with Carl Paradzi, the No Retreat. He doesn't live that far away from my place, about an hour away. And Carl is one of these guys that he gets it right away. He's one of those genius guys, you know. And he's always screaming at me, come on, come on, come on. Just, you're going to rush the machine gun nest. You're going to die, so just roll. Come on.
We've got a couple comments here. Let me circle back in. Let's see. Itinerant Hobbyist, thank you both for all the content. Well, thank you. I missed his earlier comment. I'm sorry about that. It was 2 giants. Oh, boy, he must mean like girth and height-wise, and I do mean me on the girth. Giants in the Wargaming YT YouTube world on at the same time. My head's about to explode. You
know, I always do this on the Dice Tower. Take it easy. Take it easy.
I love it. And always says, and Snuka Joe is on the chat. Holy mother of all the universe. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to get Snuka Joe on a live at some point in time. Snuka,
absolutely.
That's going to happen. Let's see. Itinerant Hobbyist even says, Woo Shock. We have WSU, Wichita State University. So maybe he's an alum. Reading, he says, I love it, but it's a chore for him as well. This is why he listens to Audible. I listen to Audible too. I love Audible.
I mean, where am I going to get Audible rules for the war games? You know what I mean? If there are any, please let me know.
There's a little subgenre that may be some way to make some money right there. I'll give you. Do you like sci-fi?
I love sci-fi.
Okay. Have you? We Are Legion. We Are Bob, or it's called the Bob verse. Have you heard of this?
Is that like Bob, Carol, Ted, and Alice or something like that?
Oh no, let me pull this up and I'll show you. I got totally hooked. So Dennis Taylor has written, I'm on to the second one. It's called, I think, just look up the Bobaverse or something. It is unbelievable. It's written, but it's also Audible, where you basically have a guy, the premise in the very beginning, I'm not giving anything away, you're going to get this in the first 5 minutes. He is some kind of computer programmer, hits it rich young, and on a lark, he decides he's going to pay for this cryogenic deal where they cut your head off when you die and they preserve you. Right. But here's what happens. he sets up this deal that I won't go into it, but basically his head's preserved. But when he gets brought back in, he's no longer. There's been a very big shift in the world, and he was brought back as like a computer program, almost like an android, but he's just in a program. Needless to say, a lot of bad things happen, and all of a sudden he's saving maybe the universe, but he's able to replicate himself. So there's all these different Bobs that are out there, and they all have a bit of a nerdy humor. It is a sci-fi beauty.
So hold on a second.
Yes.
The protagonist, he's young, he's rich, and so he wants to chop off his head so he can live longer.
Well, the way cryogenics works is if you're ever going to die, they come in. So as soon as your heart stops, this is a real thing. You can do this now. As soon as your heart stops, the cryogenic company rushes in. They sever your head. They freeze you in a cryogenic deep freeze with the idea, the concept. This was even in Star Trek Next Generation, that you'll be brought back sometime in the future.
Oh, okay, so this guy was dying. He didn't kill himself purposely.
He did not kill himself.
Okay, all right.
What happens, because as soon as he signed this cryogenic paperwork, he's going to have to die, and it's called the Bobaverse, and his name's Bob. So you're like, something.
Okay. All right.
It is, and it's a charm on Audible because the voice actor, each clone is a little bit subtly different and quirky, but the same. And he really acts the voices, and they have a family tree, and the original. I mean, it's just hilarious, great sci-fi at the same time, and really, really well acted. This will be a movie.
Who's the actor? Christopher Walken.
Yeah, well, who would be great? Ryan Reynolds, just with what he's able to do with Deadpool. I could see him.
Yeah.
In this, but I mean, whoever it is will have to be a phenomenal actor. I mean, it's got all the good pop references because, of course, he's a nerd and he loves Next Generation and all this kind of Star Trek. So check that out if you guys haven't already. It's beautiful. Okay, let me pop back in. So here is Tom's superpower. I was at the Board Game Geek convention in Dallas. We're hanging out. One of my buddies was with me. He goes, "Let's play a game." He has Keyflower, or a spinoff from Keyflower. I can't remember exactly what it is. I assumed he had probably played it because I'm sure you're kind of like me. I get nervous if I'm going to be teaching a game. I have to know how to play it. I have to know how to explain it. I want to be able to break it down so you're in pretty quick.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm good at that. Sometimes I'm bad at that. He starts breaking things out, and he's reading the manual, and he flips to the back and gets the win conditions, and then he's just kind of thumbing it. He's just thumbing through, and he goes, "Okay, let's begin." And I go, "Well, how many times have you played this?" He goes, "Oh, I've never played." And I'm thinking, well, what are you talking about? This is going to be fun. This is going to be one of those times where you're moving pieces for an hour and you really aren't even doing it right. And I thought, well, I'm not going to say anything to Tom here. And then I couldn't help it. I go, "Come on, Tom, how can you?" He goes, "Well, I play so many games. This is just kind of like this game and this game." And he says, "By the way, I read like 1,000 words a minute."
Okay.
Yeah, I go, "Shut up." And he goes, "No, I do. It's well, I can speed read." And we start playing, and he's still thumbing through, and we're doing mechanics, and it seems to fit. Here comes the designer. I'm blanking on his name. Someone will shout it out in the comments. He's an English fellow.
Did you say Martin Wallace?
It wasn't Martin Wallace. It was Keyflower. It was a Keyflower spin.
Okay. All right.
I'm forgetting his name. Let me see if anybody's throwing it in. It may show up in the comments. Well, here comes the designer. "Hey, Tom, I see you're playing my game. How do you like it?" And he says, "Well, it's the first time we're playing it. Are we doing it right?" And he looks, watches for a couple minutes. "Tom, you're spot on." And I'm like, "Oh, my God." And then Tom tells me the reason he can do 30 reviews in a month, which is unbelievable, is that he gets all these games in. And once a week, he goes to his board game group, and he's got 10 games that are still in the shrink. He rips the shrink off, plays that game with the group, and then they usually then play another one, and then another one, and another one, and he's just tearing through them like that. Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if Snuka Joe is still on, but I tend to mix up my numbers. I told Snuka Joe that same story because you had told it to me before. But I told Snuka Joe that Tom reads 15,000 words a minute, so I made a mistake. Joe, I'm sorry.
Well, it might have been 1,500 even. Breeze, that's right. Someone says, Ekted says breeze. I believe that is correct, I think. Freeze? No, it wasn't Freedom Freeze. I don't know. We'll see. Let me see. There's a few more comments. Ekted says, hi all. James Brazil says, same, hi all. Michael Hetz, I concur. I'm not sure where that came in. I'm sorry, Michael, to get it too late. Thanks to all of you here who generously spend some of your free time promoting board gaming on the internet. You bet. Snuka Joe says, nice. Oh, he's just talking to intern in it, saying, nice to see you. Let's see. Dan, the itinerant hobbyist says, Dan, what are your top 3 games that you play regularly?
Oh my God, play regularly. That's not in my vocabulary. I don't have time to play regularly I don't have time. But my go-to game, I don't know, I seem to really, really like RAF, the John Butterfield.
Yes.
I don't know, man. There's something about that game. There's a flavor that I really, really like about that game. And Snuka Joe did some cards for that game. There's a flip book. Thank God for that guy with the flip book. And then Snuka Joe does cards. Excellent. I love the game even more. And a second game, what would that be for me? Well, I don't know. I really don't have time. I enjoy Zulus on the Rampart. Victory Point game. I really like that game. And I don't know, man. I mean, I have a board game group where I work. I animate a group, and we've been playing Pathfinder for the last 4 years.
Wow.
The card game, because we play once a week. 4 guys get together, and we just finished that. So it would be that, I guess. 2 war games in Pathfinder, because I don't have any time to. I have no time, and again, it brings me back to a guy like Tom. He's got no social life. His social life has got to be when he travels, and because he's gaming, he's putting out videos all the time. I mean, I know that's his full-time job, but my full-time job stops at 4 o'clock.
Well, no, he was doing that when he was teaching. He was
That's unbelievable.
Teaching full-time, and then he was doing. He was, I think, the youth minister at his church on Sundays, and yeah, I mean, he was just. I mean, what the content he put out, because I know at one point some people came on and said, there's no way you're playing all these games. You're putting out too many reviews. And I jumped in and said, guys, I've seen him open a game, read it, and play it. Now, if I did that, it would be a train wreck.
Yeah, it wouldn't work for me. And the itinerant hobbyist, I watch his channel, and he's hardcore gamer. I know he's doing a lot of miniatures, if I'm not mistaken, or bolt action. I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but like this guy, the itinerant hobbyist, the CEO of the big board there. I always say that, Kevin Sharpe. These guys, man, I can't do what they do. I don't know. I have a hard time with strategic war games. I'm more of a tactical guy.
I agree there. That's me too.
Yeah.
I lean toward, and I think a lot of it's lifestyle, and then I'll answer the question of my 3. I think that's why I lean toward these light war games. And I'm a big sim guy. I don't want to fly the B-29 and have mechanical problems and things of that nature. It's just not, my deal. I want that, that's where the B-17 Queen of the Skies.
Ambush.
Yeah, Ambush. That was my second game I played. Tactical war games, the visceralness of it. I was a medic in a light infantry unit in the Army, so I kind of enjoy and I kind of see that way. So my 3 games real quick, and this is funny. I do a lot of gameplay with my wife, 2-player games, so and my family. The ones that hit the table the most are not war games. Can't Stop is huge with my family. My boy loves the push your luck mechanic. My boy being Bo. The whole family, including Seth, my youngest, who's 9 with Down syndrome, he loves to play. Oh my goodness, now I'm going to forget the name of it. Oh shoot, we play it all the time. I'm blanking on it now. It's a game where it's a race game where you're moving your mice around the board, rolling a die, and the cat. When you roll the cat on the wooden die.
I know.
And it'll come to me later. It'll pop in.
Isn't it Mousetrap?
No, it's not Mousetrap. This one is. Oh, it's so funny. Someone will yell it out here, but it'll come up. Oh boy, let's see. You know, war game. I'll give you the war game one. Although I haven't played it in a while now. My favorite genre of tactical war game is Academy Games Conflict of Heroes.
Yeah, that's good system.
I love the system.
Yeah,
and I really enjoy what Uva's doing there. Of course, he's got Kursk. Is the Kursk Storms of Steel?
Yeah, it's not out yet, right? The 2nd edition.
It should be out very soon. Here's the interesting thing, and I love Uva to death, but this is 3rd edition rules.
Oh yeah,
he drives the grognards crazy.
Yeah.
And here's why. Here's the cool thing on this 3rd edition, though. You can play with the old rules, so this one doesn't reconfigure everything, kind of like the 2nd edition did, where you really probably wanted to upgrade. This one is just a few little things that use the APs differently, and because I always use the means testing where I roll 3 dice under a cup, and I then know how many APs or action points I have.
Right.
Opponent doesn't. So he doesn't know if I had a crappy roll or a great roll, and he doesn't know what I'll be able to do. And that, to me, is the magic of that system. Otherwise, it can be a little bit of chasing each other around a tree.
Do you know any inside information on this? The 3rd edition of Kursk, is he going to have a solo, a solo module to go with that, like he did with Awakening the Bear?
Yeah, talking to him, I think it's even official. They've talked about it. I know that their deal is, and they've brought some new people on to help them out. They have so many irons in the fire, and I can only imagine, like your world and my world, how that works. That a lot of stuff they'll talk about, and then it may be 2, 3, 4 years before they get to it. And that's the other thing that drives some of their fans of their games crazy, because
I just heard yesterday Harold Buchanan's Harold on Games, his podcast, and I went back 5 months ago. I think he interviewed Uva, and first of all, this guy Uva, this guy's another genius, for God's sakes.
He is.
And he can just take on work, and he was talking about he's got so many games in the can that are ready to come out but are not finalized, and he was talking about pissing off grognards too. Yeah,
and for those that don't know, I think he's had 3 or 7, I can't remember, other businesses that had nothing to do with board gaming. He used to, he's like some kind of engineer, and it was all with metallurgy, and I'm probably getting this wrong, but he had a company that literally made
scissors
and
knives. Hairstyling scissors.
Yes, it was all this high grade steel, and he even had a contract, I think, with the U.S. military to make their knives. And he came up with some ingenious methods. I don't know if it was patented or whatever, and he would do that, and then he would go start another business and another. And I got a feeling that he was extremely successful and active with those. And then he and his son, who's oh my gosh, how am I going to forget?
Gunther.
Yeah, Gunther. I think that they then started Academy Games, and And of course, the very first Awakening the Bear was a huge hit, even with Eurogamers right off the bat. And off he went. But he was so successful, even in that realm, he's been pulled in a lot of different directions there as well. So,
and the guy's good looking too. What the hell?
oh my God! And then I follow him on Facebook. He coaches, or no, he's a ref in soccer. And
Yeah.
He plays, I think, the violin so well that he always takes like a week off and goes to some fair, and he camps and they play all night. I'm thinking I would love that.
I hate people like that.
Oh, and they show up and it's just this. I mean, he's always telling me some scotch comes out there and they hang around, and I'm thinking that's the kind of stuff I love. And then he gets a call from the sheriff, and it's, hey, there's a deer that was struck, and he rushes out and dresses.
I saw that.
Yeah, he dresses the deer and says, hey, I've got food for the family for a month now. And I'm like, my God, it's like this guy's got a man card that goes on forever.
Hold on a second. He dresses a deer, and he's got food for a month. Like, how much meat does this guy eat?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe turns it into jerky, and it goes on and on and on.
And the thing is that why I know about Uwe is because I sent him, and I hope he's watching this. I swear to God, Uwe, as I sent him the 4 questions, I want him to answer the 4 questions, which is not really 4 questions on my show. It's 100 questions, but whatever. And he said he would do it, so I prepared all these questions, sent it to him. But the guy's a busy guy.
He is busy. He is busy. Let's see. We've got some more. Von Holdinghausen is in, and he says Sweden is watching. So that's his. Let's see. We got Joe Bezerfan says his go-to game is Dawn of the Zeds, the 2nd edition. Very good game. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Shame on me, but I'm too cheap to buy the new edition. Nope. If that game works for you, there's no need to upgrade.
Absolutely.
Let's see. The hobbyist says that's a good list. He's more into light war games as well. Lock and load, tactical miniatures like Bolt, which you mentioned.
Okay, right.
Bolt Action Blitzkrieg Commander. He also says Can't Stop is great. Family favorites are Boss Monster, Quicks Deluxe, Quiddler. Azul is phenomenal. My wife and I were playing a lot of Azul when it came out. Sekatsu and Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride was the very first board game that my wife and I played, and she really got me back into the hobby.
Okay.
Oddly enough, I was playing a lot of online strategy games or computer games, and then I got into first-person shooters. Played a World War II one called Day of Defeat off the Counter-Strike engine, Half-Life, and Steam. And one day she came down on a Saturday. We didn't have kids, and she's like, could we do something together? You've been down here 3 hours. And I go, babe, it's been like an hour and 15 minutes. And she says, look at the clock. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
And I hadn't played any board gaming in years since I was probably shortly out of high school. And I'd seen Ticket to Ride in a magazine, and I thought maybe we could do this together. And she adored it, and we just fell in love with the Euro game craze that was going on in like 2006 and 7.
Yeah, it's a good game. We played at the center where I'm at, Ticket to Ride. We played the he's got a few versions on Alan Moon, right?
Yep.
I think he's one where you can have connecting stations where you can borrow some guy's train track and this and that. And
that's Ticket to Ride Europe.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? That's a pretty good game. There's another game that I really like a lot, and it always gives me anxiety, and that's Freedom and Freeze's
Power Grid.
Power Grid, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first time I played that game, I couldn't believe how intelligent the mechanics was of that. Everything is connected and so distinct. And that's another thing about board gamers, because now me doing this channel, I get to speak to people who do board games. And these guys are really smart, man.
Yeah, yeah, designers. The idea. Well, that's one thing I love about creative. I mean, including I'm going to include you here as well. How you'll the magic that a designer has with a game, and then a mechanic, or a mechanic and a theme, or what you have with the music in your head, and how you can then put it out. I mean, that's its superpower as well.
Well, hold on. I'm usually a self-deprecating guy, okay? But the music in my head is, you got it right when you say the music in the head, because sometimes I go to compose something and I don't know what to do, so I actually smash my head on the keys and something happens, and I'll work from that. So, yeah.
Well, I love that. I love creative inspiration and expression. So I'm always, I'm in awe of those that do it in all the different formats that are out there. So a designer, even when I'm playing someone, I love when I'm playing, and that's one reason I like war games and even tactical games, is when I play with someone and they do something unexpected that I would have never even thought of, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Judd has me here. I've never even seen this. I'm on my heels. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to counter this. And that's why even when I lose a good game,
yeah,
it can be more memorable to me than per se a victory. And that's what
absolutely.
I love.
With Carl Paradzi, I must have played out, I don't know, at least 30 games with him. I haven't won one game. Zero. Zero. But I have fun all the time.
Beautiful. Let me ask or see a few more questions here. Let's see. Let's see. Joe, Bezer fan, getting my family to play is very hard. I'm mostly a solo player. Well, me too, a lot. I've got a few other hardcore guys I'll get down and play with. However, right now, my 20-year-old daughter will play the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle game. There you go. Theme can bring in family a lot of times. It's a good way to work on that. Let's see. As a teenager, Van Holdinghausen loved Panzer Blitz. Is there a new iteration of it out? Question mark. Think I read that somewhere. Well, there kind of is.
What, a new Panzer Blitz?
Yeah, GMT has that Panzer game out, but it's kind of it's different though too.
Is he talking about the I don't know if it's MMP that has Hill of Death Panzer Blitz? Is that what he's talking about for new? It's about 2-3 years old.
It could be that. Keep talking. I'm locked the camera on you. Let me turn down some background music I have, or not music, but a fan over here. Hold on. Keep going.
Keep going. I don't know. I think the itinerant hobbyist was playing the new Panzer Blitz, and I think I've mistakenly said that it was in my, not reviews, but in my show, that I said it was Hill of Death, because I couldn't find it anywhere. Because sometimes some guy will review a game and I got to go on BGG or on the net to try to find a box or whatever, and I couldn't find it. So I'm assuming it's Hill of Death. Okay,
let's see. Itinerant Hobbyist, yes, the new version is very different. I think he's mentioning probably the Panzer that's out by GMT. You have to download the newest version of the rules. They're working on the East Front version. Maybe I'm way wrong here. Version of the new Panzer Blitz. It won't be ready for a year or so.
So how did he get it?
It says I'm playing, this is the hobbyist, I'm playing PB new version right now. I have some videos posted.
Right.
Avalon Hill it was originally. Yep, we know that. And he says, thank you. Yes, MMP. Okay, so you're right. I am way wrong. MMP created the new Panzer Blitz Hill of Death.
Right. Okay, so that was it. I'm not wrong. Okay, good.
Perfect. All right, so circling back. So you've got to watch a lot of videos for No Enemies Here and then pull them in. And how long does that process take for you?
I spend about 2 hours a day. I take Saturday and Sunday off. Right. I take it easy. I play some, because I'm a big I'm a big PlayStation guy. Right now I'm playing a Far Cry 5.
Really?
Yeah, I'm killing me some Americans.
I've got the PS4.
Yeah, I've got the PS4. Yeah.
I get sucked in a little bit. I've got to watch out or I'll have no time. I picked up like Avon Colony, which is like a space-based version of SimCity. And
isn't it colonizing Mars or something like that? Or
you're colonizing a planet, but it's way out in space somewhere.
Okay, no, I don't know it.
But it's think SimCity, but you're on a planet, so weird things can happen.
Okay, all right.
And yeah, I had to step away from it. I missed an editing session, and then my boy came down and literally said, "Dad, let's play a game." And that's like music to my ears. And I was like, "Hold on, man, hold on, my solar panels. I'm trying to configure them to get the most." And then he was like, "Oh my God." And I had to step away because, boy, did it just, I had to see if this little tweak I did was going to work, or did I need to bring on, or how was my power output. And I literally, it was like video game crack. I had to push it away.
So, Bart, when you do a video, a review, how long does it take you? I mean, you've been doing this for what, bonding with board games, at least 4 years now?
Yeah, it's 3 or 4 years, I think. And then I did what I did with Tom before that. And
no, just bonding with board games. And do you remember who your first subscriber was?
Was it you?
It was me, man.
Oh.
It was me, man.
I would not have remembered that. I would not have remembered that.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you. So are you saying what is my process?
Like, how long does it take you? You got the board game in your hands, boom, you open it up, you're filming and editing. How long does that take you?
All right. Well, I'll chip it up a little bit. So the game shows up, and
right.
First thing I'll do before I unshrink is I try to shoot a little unboxing video, unless there's a bunch of them out there already. And then, if I don't have anything to add on an unboxing and everybody can see it, sometimes I'll skip that. But what I'm usually kind of stuck with is the cool game shows up, and I'm usually got another game on the table working through it, or it's paused while I'm playing with somebody else. So that there's always a queue. There's a queue going on. So to skip to the individual game, let's say I'm ready and I'm learning it. I'll usually get out the pieces, set it all up. Hopefully they've got a great splash page. I love that splash page on setup that says, here's how you lay everything out.
Yeah.
Little arrows that are telling you what everything is. And then I'm learning it, and I'll do, even if it's a multiplayer game, I'll do a solo play with just myself, and I'm playing all the parts because, yeah, I'm losing out on some of the fog of war, but I can learn a lot of the mechanics and how everything's working with itself by playing all the roles. And you can digest, or at least I can digest it a little quicker that way. If it's a non-solitaire game, then my son actually will step in a lot of times and play the opposing side. That's been great. I used to have some guys, and I still do on occasion, that would come over and jump in and play a game. But as you know, family, kids, regular job, the scheduling was harder than anything.
I mean, do you go? What's your bedtime, man? What time you go to sleep?
I'm pretty good on that. I'm much more of a morning guy, so I usually try to get in by 11.
Okay. Oh, geez, that's for me. That's late.
Okay, yeah. I mean, 10 to 11, I'm usually going down because I've got too much going on. I'm up and getting the kids' lunches made in the morning. So
you do your filming all in the morning, is that right?
Not always. Sometimes I will wait until everybody's tucked in. Usually all the kids go to bed about 9. And then sometimes I'll go down and film there. But with the police department, I work 4 10-hour days, 4 10.5-hour days.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right.
So I actually have Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. Monday's my big filming day because I'm either doing a Scotch show, or if we're not doing that, I'm doing the video stuff, or I'm doing a combination of both after my co-host leaves. And then I'll kind of edit throughout the week. And I try, well, with the whiskey stuff, I batch shoot. So we'll shoot 3 or 4 shows, and then they're all there to edit.
And who does it? It's Scott. Scott or Bruno? You call him 2 names.
His name is Scott Bruno.
Okay, and sorry to cut you off. I was watching your bourbon taste testing, and you had it for a few shows. And, you know, you had all these fancy dancies, bourbons and this, and you were smelling, I don't know, tobacco and grass and this. And at the end, Scott's favorite scotch, and I'm still laughing thinking about that, was Maker's Mark.
Well, his favorite bourbon.
No, but it's the one, blind tasting, it's the one that he liked the best. And he said, and it was me and my fiance, we were watching it, and I swear to God, all this liquid came out of my face when he said, when he saw it, he goes, "You gotta be shitting me." And I swear to God, it killed me. It killed me.
Yeah. What we've begun doing on the Scotch review show, which we do bourbons and rye and whiskey from Scotland, and we do everything. But we started doing blind face-off. So we 16 bottles.
Yeah.
We put into samples. I labeled and he relabels, so we don't know what's what. And yeah, we had some Pappy Van Winkles in there.
Yeah.
We had Blanton's. We had some very expensive whiskeys, and then we had Makers, which is like $6.
Yeah, and his Makers was his.
Yep, it's a weird bourbon, and it blew his mind.
Oh, it blew my mind, man. We laughed so hard. I mean, like he had the Pappy. So you know what? Taste is subjective, man, and that's what it is.
Well, and the other deal is that's why we started doing a blind, is that you really can be influenced by the packaging, by the bottle, by the brand. Hey, to touch back on Freedom Freeze with Power Grid.
Yeah.
I love Power Grid as well. And back in the pre-kids, when my wife and I went to our board game deal twice a month, we were there, and that was a hot game there. And what was amazing with his game of Power Grid is that I'd found out one of the tricks, which makes it even more engaging, is you don't really want to be the front leader, because then it kills you on the market for buying the different power stations.
Yeah.
You want to kind of be second or third place, and then what you're always doing is you're positioning yourself to end the game as you get near the end, and that is when you trigger that is still the beauty of Power Grid for me. I play with some guys that play it all the time, and I just, there was a point where I kind of did, and I'm not great with math, but it's a good spitballer for math, because you got to kind of think, okay, I can reach there, but there's so many unknowns with the other players. And there's nothing better either than you reach for the victory and you get it, or you reach and you come up just a little short.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the thing is that you also have to, there's the market prices of the elements. You gotta buy, and the guys gotta have nothing left to buy. So, yeah. But when it comes to that game, I always lose. I'm a bit stupid.
No. But see, the joy is with the guys I play with, if I win 1 out of 5, that's just, but it's so fun and crunchy with all those little decisions along the way. And that's how it keeps everybody engaged. Let's see. Hobbyist says, I can't play computer games at all. Those don't engage me at all. Sure, that happens. I only make an unboxing video if there isn't one out there, or they don't cover the parts of the pieces that I'm interested in. Yeah, if I see there's one out there and it's good, a lot of times I won't do it. Sometimes I want to highlight some things, why I even look for the game, because or why I think I'm going to enjoy the game, and then we'll go look at the pieces. And I talk too much. I know. Sometimes I talk too much. Did you see Tom started doing his unboxings? He likes to keep really short. Yeah. For me, I kind of like that open introduction, and then we rip the box open and see what's inside. I think we're coming up. We're at 1:10, so we'll get close. We don't have to close immediately, but how about with you've got so many folks that you highlight, and I want to say, is it Gimpy's Games and Gimpy's Gal that he's just putting out tons of content?
Him, Kevin, I don't know who else. I can't sleep with these guys. These guys are putting out videos all the time, so it's keeping me busy. You know, it's a hate-love relationship I have with those guys. I swear to God.
I love it. And I think Gimpy is he a vet as well, a veteran?
Yeah, he's a Marine.
Okay, there you go. I thought I'd seen a couple tattoos, and then the way he references stuff, I thought I haven't watched a lot of. My deal is I've got so many irons myself in the fire. I can't really go be a purveyor of all the content.
Yeah, okay.
That's where your show's even fun.
Well, that's the nature of the beast with my show, is that I got to peruse everything, you know?
Yes. And I love how you highlight. Now, where did you come up with your, well, I know where you came, your interludes, though. The way you work those in, I love your interludes.
You know, that show basically, and you just reminded me of that, No Enemies Here is basically an outlet for all the music I've done, because I'm pretty quick to compose, and I've got all this music and it ain't going anywhere. So that was one reason to start a YouTube channel. And, you know, things just roll out funny sometimes.
Beautiful. No, that's perfect. Actually, what you just said there, things roll out funny, is actually some of the tips that I give people, whether it's law enforcement or gaming or anything, is that or even my son. My son was like, before he was going to do his channel, he told me he wanted to do it. And then he kept telling me, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be this. It's got to be screen capture. And I said, you better be careful or you're never going to do it.
That's right.
And he said, what do you mean? And I said, I would tell you to just jump in. It may be a little bit put together. You know, it may be, you know, like he wanted to screen capture his 3DS. Well, I don't know how to do all that, to jack the box and get it into the screen.
Yeah.
And so I said, we're going to go a little bit grunge here. We're just going to film from a tripod, but you'll get better or you won't, but at least you're doing something.
That's right. That's right. And it's funny. I used to have a progressive rock band, and we went into the studio to cut our first CD. And I remember the nerves in the studio, the red light, you know, okay, record, and nothing comes out. And I remember once we did a good take, we're listening to it, and I wanted to do some stuff. And my drummer said, leave it alone. Leave it alone. And, you know, that's what I do now. I'll compose something. If it's really horrible, I'll trash it. But if not, I'll leave it alone, come back to it a few months later, and it's, you know, fine the way it is. So, yeah, that's good advice.
Well, and I'll same advice, like I'll do a review, and I've already told everybody here, I don't always get all the rules right. And that's really teaching you the perfection of the rules. I'm hoping to give you the feel of the game and why you may or may not like it yourself.
Yes.
And you'll get some folks, and I know it's the nature of anything, but especially with grognards, you know, hey, Stalingrad, I'll give you, there was a guy that was like, hey, you said the rubble roll was 18 and above. You're wrong. It's only above 18. And I'm like, wow, I mean, that would help me on maybe one or two rubble rolls.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I always tell folks, hey, I try to get it right, but I gave up on perfection a long time.
Oh, man. I gave up on perfection when I was born, man.
there you go. And then and I don't even take it personal. If somebody corrects it, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, now when I go play it, I mean, I'll the rubble rolls above 18. So, you know, wonderful. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. All right. Anything else? Where can they find No Enemies Here? What are you doing? What do you got coming out? What's going on musically?
No Enemies Here is it's a weekly show. I can't predict what's going to come out because you guys put out the news, and I just basically throw it back on one channel. So it's just a weekly show. Whatever you're going to review, Bart, hopefully it's before Friday night, because Friday night I shut down. And those are the reviews that go on during the week. The Tom Vassell thing, I do it while I'm doing No Enemies Here. I might be checking out a game. I'll film it, take some stills from that, go a little bit more in depth. And when I say a little bit more in depth, 2 minutes. I mean, how in depth can you go? Mm-hmm. And I put it out. He wants it for Saturday, before Saturday afternoon. If not, bonjour la visite. And musically, what's happening? I don't know. What music you want, Bart?
You're doing great. My son loved all the inspirational music you sent him. I kept telling him, hey, if you got something else you want, you can always hit Dan up. He's totally
Absolutely. Sure.
And he was thrilled on that. Now, I will tell you this. This is neat. It hit me when you talked about Tom. Tom keeping you at 2 minutes is actually like it's almost like an athlete that's training. So when you now have to think, how do I get it into 2 minutes? That's an act in and of itself, because you now have this artificial constraint that you have to stick to.
Yeah. I mean, if he were to someday offer me 3 minutes, I don't know if I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
You know?
And it gives you a little bit. I remember when I was doing reviews for him, and I've been trying to actually constrain myself. I keep failing. He wouldn't let me fail. He'd tell me, I want you to hit about 10 to 12 minutes, maybe 14 to 15 every once in a while. If you've got something either you really love or it's just going to take that much time. But he would tell me, he'd tell me, okay, I'm going to accept this, but you can't send me another 15-minute one next week. And he meant it in the best way, but he would say and I still do this. I think I'm going to put out a 30-minute video, and it's an hour and 10 minutes, and I'm in editing forever.
Yeah, I know. No good, man.
And I keep I've got to hit, because I'm not trying to teach the game. I'm trying to give you a feel if you're going to like the game or not, with enough information that okay, or like with Stalingrad, a lot of people may watch and not know a block game, or they may not know that it's really hard to have a solitaire block game, which is one thing that Emmanuel surprised me with, because the other player, it's all about the fog of war of the strength of the block. And I'm thinking, how's he going to do this? So I really wanted to show what our block game is, how the pips work, triple fire, strength. And I literally apologized. So I'm like, hey, this is going to be a tight video. And then it's an hour.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean?
I'm with you. All right, we're going to wrap it. Let's take the comments, and then we'll close it out. Snuka Joe with War Games. There's so many moving parts. It's really hard to get things right. OT, he is exactly right, and that's why you got to kind of flow, I think. We all try to do our best, I think.
Yeah.
And let's see, Stephen Reynolds, I commented, I commend both of you for doing this. I know it's a lot of work. It's both informative and entertaining. It's also fun to do on our end. Glad to see the Dice Tower giving some space to War Games. Dan is perfect for that. I agree 100%. Tom is not anti-war game. It's not his main genre, and I know he really likes to cover that sphere, but it's hard to find folks that can do it in those time limits. Actually, Dan, when you brought up wanting to get a hold of them, I remember thinking, why didn't I suggest it to you? Because the format that you have is perfect for being able to pop in, highlight something, highlight a game, do your own little highlight of a game yourself or another person. So you were a perfect fit for that.
Thanks. I mean, things fall into place. I mean, who knew that I was going to – I mean, I studied music at university. Who knew I was going to write music for board games? For God's sakes, man.
Perfect. Michael Hetz, I believe I got it right. If I missed it, sorry on your last name there, Michael. For Bart, upcoming ham tag topics. When's the next show? Well, Michael, that has been one of the problems. Dan is on me way more than you. I've actually got one filmed probably 5 months ago. I filmed a block of 3 with the guys, and it's been sitting there. And Judd's always telling me, you still got one that you can edit. And it's even in my editing queue on my Mac, and I've done a couple things to it.
So you use iMovie to edit?
I do. And it's sitting there. The problem is they're about an hour long, and I try to pull in the box tops and drop them in there, and I watch the whole thing, and sometimes we'll have someone will have to go to the bathroom or something, and so I got to watch it and edit. I got sloppy once. It wasn't a bathroom break, but it was like, hey, pause for a second. I can't find this third game I brought, and it was all in there, and that's pretty junky on my end. So then I get kind of like, well, I gotta edit a little bit tighter. And I've gotten so busy on the whiskey show. The whiskey show was once a week, and I was doing board games once a week. The whiskey show is now 2 shows a week, pre-recorded, and then usually 1 to 2 live shows a week as well. And I do half the editing.
Okay, all right.
So that's been, and then we've been getting. It's a good thing. We've been invited down to Austin, where we had to get there, but they put us up, got us food, and then we filmed an opening. We got invited out to KC for a deal, and it looks like in March we're going to be flown out to Ireland for a distillery. They're going to host us for a week, and we're going to film a bunch of stuff.
So you know what? 2 years ago, would you ever have thought that this was going to happen?
I'm gonna tell you, I 2 years ago, yes. When we first started, it was in doubt. Situation was in doubt for about a year, and because the whiskey review started when Scott was over at my house. We were going to watch a movie. We were going to enjoy a little whiskey. That was kind of what we do. He looked over at my board game wall and said, "That's ridiculous." He said, "Yeah, how many you got there?" I go, "Probably about 850. He goes, "How can you even play all those?"
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, some. And he goes, that you can't play all those in a year. I said, "That's true." And he said, "Man, how much money?" Of course, he doesn't play a lot of games. "How much money have you?" He said, "Wasted on that." I said, "Well, first of all, I haven't wasted anything." And I told him I probably bought half of those, and the other half have come from review copies, thereabouts. I don't know the exact number. I remember he jokingly said, "Man, if we had a whiskey review show, maybe we would get some whiskey."
Ding!
Yeah, and I told it. So the idea then finalized in my head, and I told him, "Here's the deal. You're my best friend, and if we just do whiskey reviews and I'm hanging out with you, one, I've got a reason to tell my wife why I'm buying whiskey. It's for the show. It's for the show, babe. Right? 2, I said, we're spending time together. If 17 people watch, we're a hit." I said, "But 3, and it really was the 3rd one. I said, if we're good enough," and that was in doubt. If we're good enough, I believe we would get review whiskeys just like I get some review games. And literally at about the 1 year mark, my buddy Scott was starting to think, well, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And a big company sent us a media packet that had some whiskeys, and boom, we were off and running at that point in time. So, and that's been fun. But again, it's kind of like I agree with Tom. Getting games is not. I mean, I can go buy games. The labor, you've got to enjoy the labor of making the videos as its own hobby. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, even doing this live thing, it's a lot of fun, I mean, you stopped me from going grocery shopping. I mean,
All right, brother. On the let's see. I'll take one more look, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Michael says, "I travel extensively in my work. Montreal is the one large Canadian city I've not visited. Ideas for must-see/do things in Montreal, and/or the best game store."
Game store is, I hope you understand French. It's called Le Valet de Coeur, the Jack of Hearts. That's, I mean, Herman Lutton was just in town this week, and I had an evening I could spend with the guy. By the way, super nice guy. And he told me, and I think he lives in Brooklyn or Long Island. I don't know where he lives. And he said that he was blown away by that store. So, okay, great. And I don't know how old that guy is, if he's single or not. I can suggest a few, but you know what I'm talking about, man.
Waterfalls.
Yeah. A few waterfall bars.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say he's probably looking. What's the best historical landmark? You've got to have some beautiful history.
Well, he's got to go to Old Montreal. That's for sure. Okay. It's about 400 years old. So, I mean, I've never been to Boston. There's an old Boston, so I don't know what old Boston looks like. But Old Montreal is nice. And the thing is that the international ambiance you have in Montreal with all ethnic races, which makes for a lot of beautiful people, let me tell you. He's going to enjoy that very much.
Cool. Well, Dan, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bart.
It's always good hanging out with you. If I ever get up into your area, we will hang out. We'll share a dram and we'll play a game.
Yeah, don't forget to bring it.
Oh, yeah. I'll bring it, brother. Hopefully, if I come up there, I've been in Canada is blowing up with the whiskey scene.
Not just the whiskey. You know, we've just legalized marijuana here in Canada.
I did see that as well. Here's
not that I partake because you're a cop. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, here's my deal. I never got into smoking cigarettes or anything, so I was able to avoid that whole scene. My weakness was food. And I always said if I'd met somebody that had made an illegal brownie, I would have been at risk. Because I'm an eater. I don't smoke. My co-host smokes cigars. I'm like, ugh, I can't stand any of the smoking stuff. So, but it is what it is. I'll wait until I'm like 68, and if the glaucoma kicks in, we'll see if it's medicinal. By then I'll be retired. Heck, by then it's probably legal even in, I don't know. I bet you it's probably not legal in Kansas even.
Kansas? No, nothing's legal in Kansas, man.
Well, you can carry a gun anywhere. I can tell you that.
Sorry.
So, all right. On this note, before the NSA's dialed in and said these two guys are creating an international violation, we're going to sign out. Thanks to everybody that's commented. We've got tons. All those comments came in was great. Everybody that's in, Snuka Joe, I'll work something out. We got to get you on here. And God knows my wife would love me to go to Puerto Rico with her again. And my whole thing would be I got to go look up Snuka Joe. So.
Bart, thanks a lot, man, and thanks to you, and thanks to a lot of the guys who do these videos, because without that, I wouldn't have a job.
It's phenomenal. Good job. Thanks to all your work. Everybody go out and check No Enemies Here if you're not already, and you can see Dan on Board Game Breakfast, of course.
Thank you very much, man.
All right. Hang on the line. I'm going to turn off the show if I can get my little thing to come up with. Stop broadcast.